Have you ever made a decision in under a minute that you later could not explain? Agreed to something you would normally question? Trusted someone faster than you usually would? If you have, and almost everyone has, there is a real chance you experienced one of 7 specific psychological techniques that con artists use deliberately, in sequence, to bypass your normal judgment. These are not random manipulation tactics. They are a documented, repeatable playbook used across nearly every type of fraud, from romance scams to investment fraud to in-person cons. I'm Asha, and this is Safety Nest. Today I'm breaking down all 7, so you can recognize them the next time someone tries to use them on you. Here is why this matters more than most people realize. Con artists do not succeed because their victims are unintelligent or naive. Research on fraud victimization consistently shows that victims span every education level, every income bracket, and every age group. What successful cons share is not a vulnerable victim. It is a skilled application of psychological techniques that work on the human brain regardless of intelligence, because they exploit how decision-making actually functions under specific conditions. Understanding the 7 techniques does not make you immune to them entirely, but it gives your conscious mind a chance to intervene before your automatic responses complete the transaction. That chance is the entire purpose of this video. Trick 1: Artificial urgency. This is the foundation technique that almost every con incorporates in some form. A deadline that does not actually exist. An offer that expires today. A window that is closing right now. Urgency works because it short-circuits deliberate decision-making, the slow, careful, rational evaluation process, and forces you into fast, instinctive decision-making, which is far easier to manipulate. Legitimate opportunities, legitimate emergencies involving people you know, and legitimate financial decisions almost never require an irreversible action within minutes. The rule: any situation that demands an immediate decision with no time to verify, research, or consult someone else is a manufactured pressure point. Real urgency is rare. Manufactured urgency is the most common trick in the entire playbook. Trick 2: Authority impersonation. Humans are wired to comply with perceived authority. It is a deeply embedded social instinct that exists because deferring to legitimate authority is usually adaptive. Con artists exploit this directly by impersonating police officers, government agencies, bank representatives, or company executives. The impersonation does not need to be perfect. It needs to be plausible enough to trigger the compliance instinct before your critical thinking engages. The rule: any legitimate authority figure will allow you to verify their identity independently, by calling back through an official number, by visiting an official website, by speaking to a supervisor. Any authority figure who creates pressure to act before you can verify is using this technique, regardless of how official they sound. Trick 3: Reciprocity exploitation. Humans have a powerful instinct to return favors. It is one of the most consistent findings in social psychology. Con artists create a small, often unsolicited favor or gift early in an interaction, specifically to trigger this reciprocity instinct, which they then leverage for a much larger return later. A small gift, a piece of seemingly helpful advice, an unprompted kindness. The investment is small, the expected return, your trust, your compliance, eventually your money, is large. The rule: be aware of unsolicited favors from strangers, particularly ones that arrive early in an interaction, before any relationship has been established. The favor is rarely about generosity. It is about the debt it creates in your mind. Trick 4: Social proof fabrication. Humans look to the behavior of others to determine what is safe, normal, or correct, particularly in unfamiliar situations. Con artists fabricate evidence that other people have already made the decision they want you to make. Fake testimonials, fabricated reviews, references to other people, sometimes entirely invented, who have already invested, already trusted, already agreed. In in-person cons, this sometimes involves an accomplice posing as a satisfied previous customer or a fellow investor. The rule: social proof that cannot be independently verified is not evidence. It is theater. Genuine social proof can be checked, contacted, and confirmed. Fabricated social proof depends entirely on you not checking. Trick 5. Commitment escalation. This is one of the most psychologically sophisticated techniques in the Playbook. Once a person has made a small initial commitment, even something as minor as providing an email address, agreeing to a brief phone call, or accepting a small initial favor, they become significantly more likely to agree to larger requests that follow. This is because humans have a strong psychological drive toward consistency with our previous actions and stated positions. Con artists structure their approach as a deliberate sequence of escalating commitments, each one small enough to seem reasonable given the previous one, building toward a final request that would have seemed obviously unreasonable if presented first. The rule: evaluate every request on its own merits, not based on what you have already agreed to. A sequence of small, reasonable steps does not guarantee the final step is reasonable. Trick 6. Emotional flooding. This technique deliberately overwhelms a target with intense emotion: fear, excitement, romantic attachment, grief, or hope, specifically because intense emotional states measurably reduce analytical thinking capacity. This is not metaphorical. Neurological research consistently shows that high emotional arousal genuinely impairs the brain regions responsible for careful evaluation and risk assessment. The grandparent scam uses fear and urgency for a family member. The romance scam uses manufactured intimacy and hope. Investment fraud uses excitement and the fear of missing out. Every category of fraud has an emotional flooding component because it works at a neurological level, not just a psychological one. The rule: any decision made while experiencing intense emotion should be delayed if at all possible. Even 30 minutes of distance from the emotional peak restores significant analytical capacity. Trick 7. Isolation from verification. This is the technique that ties all 6 others together and is present in nearly every successful con. The con artist actively works to prevent the target from consulting anyone else before completing the transaction. Secrecy is requested directly. Don't tell anyone, this is just between us. Urgency eliminates the time needed to consult someone. Authority impersonation discourages questioning. The combined effect is a target who makes a major decision in isolation, without the benefit of an outside perspective that would likely identify the con immediately. The rule: any request for secrecy, combined with any pressure to decide quickly, is the clearest single signal in this entire playbook. Legitimate transactions do not require isolation from the people who care about you. 7 techniques. All of them work because they exploit normal, healthy human psychology, not weakness. The next time you feel sudden urgency, unexpected authority, an unprompted favor, unverifiable proof, an escalating series of small requests, intense emotion, or pressure toward secrecy, pause. That pause is the entire defense. Share this with someone you love. Drop in the comments, which of the 7 have you experienced? Stay aware, stay safe.